Hey guys, Chef Mark here. Today we're going to make a beautiful lamb leg roast. We're going to start with our boneless leg roast here. All of our packaged lamb products are all organic, which is a nice clean flavor. Make sure when you go to cook this, you leave this netting on there. It's going to keep the whole thing together during the cooking process. The last thing we need to add to our cart is a sauce for our lamb. And we're going to use this Demi Glace here. It's a great base for any sort of sauce. You can use it on its own, but you can take this any number of ways, adding mushrooms to it, caramelized onions, whatever you want. It's always a great thing to have when you're cooking with some roast and need a quick sauce. All right, to put this thing together, it's going to be a very simple procedure. The process is we're going to start with 450 degrees in the oven. We're going to sear that. We're going to develop a lot of color on it, which means a lot of flavor in the end. Then we'll back it down to cook it the rest of the way. So to preserve a little of that moisture we've got on this, we're going to drizzle this with a little bit of basting oil. So I've got about 2 tablespoons here, and I'm using a brush. You could also get in there with your hands if you felt like. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to pick this guy up. Let's go on the other side with it. So brush the entire thing. Just basting oil, and then you see this netting that's on the outside of this. Leave that on. What that does for us is that keeps that leg that has had the bone removed from it, keeps it nice and tight. So when you go to roast this, it cooks nice and even, right? So salt and pepper on the outside, maybe a little bit more liberal with it because it's a bigger cut of meat. And then all we're gonna do is we're gonna leave this in our roasting pan here in the oven, 450 degrees to start for 15 minutes. After that 15 minutes, you back it down to 350. It's seared already. Now we got to cook the rest of the way before we burn the outside, so back it down 350 and it's going to continue to cook until wherever you like it. So we pulled this out of the oven, and I prefer a temperature of around 130 or so when I pull it out, because I like it to rise 5-10 degrees where it's a perfect medium or so. If you want about that medium rare, 125 or so would do, but we're definitely going to let it rest. And what I mean by rest is we're going to pull this out. And what I did before is I let this set over here for about 20-25 minutes or so. And what that does is allows the juices to redistribute throughout the inside and stay inside there when we go to cut it. So I'm going to make a gravy out of this, and since it's temped down a little bit, I'm going to drain off some of the fat that's rendered out there. Maybe leave about a tablespoon or so. And then all those bits on the bottom of the pan, I'm going to utilize that to flavor because that's flavor from our lamb as it went to roast. So I'm going to take our Demi Glace and simply put that down in the bottom. This is what we call deglazing. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to turn up my heat a little bit, and it's going to start to take off all those little bits of brown protein that we have down on the bottom of this, and you're going to notice that the gravy is going to start to look a good bit more rich because that stuff starts to dissolve in our Demi Glace, which is already great on its own, but just to enhance that with the flavor of our lamb. And if I did a beef, I would do it with that juice as well. Turkey gravy, you're starting the same way. So we're just deglazing that and letting that dissolve in there and get really nice and rich, caramelized. Doesn't take that long. And now we're gonna go over to slice the meat. You've got your netting, which we've had on the back of this. We're just gonna take that off. Maybe just one cut. Some people use some scissors. And this net comes off in one piece. So we have to take all the netting off. Just leave that to the side. And we're going to cut into this. And the way I like to cut in any kind of roast or meat like I'm going to do, I use a larger knife. And you're going to use long strokes like that because it's going to make a very nice, gorgeous slice off the top of that. And long strokes. Don't go in there and make little short things and try to push down. You want to keep all that juice on the inside of there, right? And just a couple pieces. All right, and there we go, right on the plate. And put a little bit of the sauce on here. And this one is done. Absolutely gorgeous, really delicious.